Hi, and welcome to another program of or another show of Happiness Learned. My name is Dr. Sarah Spowert, and I am the host for this show. And I talk to you about different ways of increasing your levels of happiness, no matter what your situation. I have my own private therapy practice, my own coaching practice. I'm an author, and I'm also involved in multiple humanitarian projects. And I also teach at a university. Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you about today was fear. It's kind of a general topic, but I find that fear is something that is so important in terms of understanding how it's in our life and how respecting fear and having it come up in certain ways may be helpful in terms of protecting us and all of that. But for the most part, it really does get in our way and shut us down for the most part. You could say a sprinkle of fear can be a good motivator, just like a tiny bit of anxiety can help push us. But beyond that, it seems to create just these blocks in our life from connection, from expressing our full potential, from our higher purpose, from looking at a bigger thing. And I was thinking about this with the law of attraction. And one of the things I find, which is interesting, is not that people are not getting what they're wanting exactly, but it's more that they're like not really wanting the right things, if that makes sense. So, for example, let's say that someone is really wanting their partner to not like, I don't know, things on Instagram, and to spend more time with them. And this is, believe it or not, a problem I come across a lot with people. Not the specific problem, but issues with people's partners, or issues at work or issues or at whatever. Maybe what you're really wanting is connection. Maybe what you're really wanting is to feel safe. So why not address the bigger thing you're wanting instead of what I'm getting at is sometimes when we get afraid or we get anxious or worried, it's because our focus, our lens is too small. We're way too focused on what's currently happening and all the little details and like trying to navigate to make it go just the way we want. But if we can look really big picture and take like 5 or 10 steps back, what's the big picture thing you're wanting? Is it love? Is it connection? Is it safety? At the core, the biggest thing I'd say that people want is ultimately connection with something big, not something small. This can be connection to a purpose, connection to a feeling of creativity, flow, connection to something bigger, but a sense of meaning, to feel expansive, not shut down and contracted. And fear shuts us down. So, my question to you is what if you could take, well, first of all, number one is to try to look at what you have fear about. Nice words for fear can be anxiety, worry, nervousness, blame, denial. It takes all kinds of fun forms. Um, what are you experiencing fear around? And sometimes when you have a lot of fear, you can't even look at the fear because it feels like it's gonna consume you, overwhelm you. It won't. One way to grow fear, make it really take hold, is to not look at it, not confront it. When you shine a light on it and you just look at it head on, it diminishes it. It goes away. Fear, like mold or other things, mildew, it grows by not being looked at head on. When you confront it and like, okay, I'm not afraid of this fear. When you are afraid of fear, it grows. You're actually growing your fear exponentially. So, number one exercise. What are you afraid of? What are you worried about? What are you feeling anxiety about? Nervousness, inadequacy. What are you in denial about? That's a big one. What are you blaming others about? That's another big one. What are you pushing off and not looking at head on because you're afraid? Non-judgmentally noticing this in yourself. And then with kindness and compassion, can you, number two, use that for something positive? Can you shift anxiety and nervousness to some excitement? Can you have compassion for yourself? One thing I find when fear is really strong and it's really tough to look at things, oddly enough, sometimes helping someone else can really help break that cycle. When we help other people, when we have sort of a sense of service, it goes into what I call is the purple zone, and that pulls you out of that red zone place. So coming from a place of service is powerful, but also it helps to get the ego out of the way, which also diminishes fear. And when you come from a place of service, you're automatically working for something bigger than yourself. So what can you experience a sense of service with? Is there, and also when you come from a place of service, it will start to help you feel better. So if you are blaming or in denial or afraid, blocking yourself from your full potential, sometimes this can happen because we don't feel good enough about ourselves. We don't feel confident enough. We're afraid of something bad happening, whatever. But when you come from a place of service, it will build you up to feel better. Naturally, generally speaking, over time. And of course, it's important that you find something that's a good fit for you. If you have terrible agoraphobia, I wouldn't suggest something like a soup kitchen. That might be totally overwhelming at first. But what could be a good fit for you? Is it something with the environment? Is it something with kids, something with animals? I find animals can be very healing for people. Something with creativity, bringing art, whatever. What can you do that you're coming from a place of service? And if you're thinking, I'm tired, I don't have the energy for that. Well, as I say to all my clients, I've never seen anyone's depression and lack of energy be healed and cured from laying in bed or laying on the couch and watching TV. I'm not saying that to not be compassionate and kind and loving. I'm saying it because it's true. The kindest thing is truth sometimes. However, I have seen people's low levels of energy, fear, apathy, lack of motivation get healed by forcing themselves to do something different. This is partly because we get into loops and cycles. You could think of them as energetic cycles. And if you want to break out of that cycle, if you want to experience something different, then you have to do something different. So what is something small you can change in your everyday routine just today? What can you do to change it up? What can you do that maybe you don't feel like doing, but you force yourself to do it? And this is also has to do with discipline, has to do with organizing and structuring your life. And the more you get into a new momentum, a new cycle, it becomes a new thing. And then eventually, I promise you, the motivation, the resistance, the low energy, it starts to shift. It's all energy. So let's say you're not feeling motivated. I mean, of course, there are times where you need to rest, but I'm not talking about those times. I'm talking about situations where someone is sort of chronically low motivation, afraid, kind of stuck. Well, you don't get unstuck by just doing the same thing over and over. You have to do something new. Another way of putting this with the brain, what we know with the neural pathways is that, like, let's say you're doing certain patterns over and over and over, it creates a very well-trodden path, you could say a super highway in the brain for certain things to keep happening. That's why you can become easily depressed, easily anxious. It might be well practiced. You might have been practicing this for years or decades. So we need to create something new. Start practicing something new to create new neural pathways, new patterns, new energetic cycles. And then slowly the fear will go away. But when in doubt, I encourage you to try to come from a place of service, a place of purpose, and that will help you to actually feel happier and happier and happier. And will help stabilize the happiness as well. Because let's say you are having some tough things go on today or this week or next week, or whatever. If you have a sense of purpose, if you have a sense of service, it helps you to carry you through in spite of whatever's going on, because you're looking at something bigger than just your own immediate circumstances. One of the things I find, interestingly enough, and I feel this is actually quite countercultural in the US culture, at least, focusing too much on your own stuff you want, too much on your small microscopic view of your life, inevitably creates unhappiness. The reason being, you can have moments of pleasure, moments of temporary satisfaction, but it doesn't last. And the reason is because it's not stabilized by something bigger. I give the analogy a lot of times with clients of a seesaw versus like a triangle. If you're just focused on yourself, it goes up and down, because if you think, okay, I need this to be this way, then I'll be happy. I need this to be this way, then I'll be happy. Let's say it is that way. It changes, and then you're happy that moment. Well, inevitably life will change because that's the nature, and that thing will go back to being something you don't want, or something new will pop up that's upsetting. And so it's, up, down, up, down. Your happiness is not sustainable that way. It can be improved, but it's not sustainable. But when you add in another element like purpose or service, something more than just your small ego self, it helps to stabilize it. Because even if things go up and down, they don't go quite the way you want, you have something bigger that you're working towards. Okay, well, I hope that this was helpful. Also, when you have something bigger you're working towards, you find that other parts of your life seem to get better too. Not to, you have to keep, maintaining other parts of your life too, but I'm saying that everything just gets easier when you have a sense of service, and a sense of purpose. Okay. Well, lots of love, and wishing you all a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you at the next show. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share any tools that from my happiness-based mindfulness program that I made, and that I use with clients. I'm happy to share any aspects of it or tools for free. I do really want to help people feel happier and happier. And I've seen that these things, these tools really work, and they make a difference in people's lives. Oh, and I can be reached at my website, www.drsarahspowert.com. Okay, have a wonderful rest of your day. Until later, bye.